we all think, right? Like our lives are kind of this mix of what we decide to do and some, luck or chance or whatever. And then these like huge forces we can't control.
Absolutely.
But it's so wild how like sometimes the tiniest thing, most unexpected thing can like just throw everything for a loop.
Yeah.
And like that is precisely what happened in this case that we're going to like deep dive into today with Kseniia Petrova.
Kseniia Petrova.
Yeah. So we've got a bunch of news articles here that detail this like really surprising situation of this Russian researcher at Harvard Medical School who was detained by ICC.
Wow.
So our goal in this deep dive is to sort of understand like how this seemingly minor administrative error, like a slip up, has put this researcher, who her employer called, quote, an exceptional scientist, unquote, into immigration detention.
Wow.
Potentially facing deportation and now seeking asylum.
Okay.
So it really shows like how complex immigration law is and like the real effects that it has on people,
Definitely, definitely.
So let's start at the beginning.
Yeah, let's get into it.
So Kseniia Petrova was coming back to the U.S. from France on February 16th.
Okay.
What happened when she landed?
Yeah, so when she arrived back in the U.S., she was stopped at the airport.
Okay.
And her work visa, which was valid,
Right.
was revoked.
Like right there on the spot.
Right on the spot, yeah.
Wild.
Yeah.
Her colleague, Cora Anderson, said it was just total shock and that there was just this immediate threat of being sent back to Russia.
Wow. Okay, so what was the reason they gave for detaining her?
It seems pretty crazy to detain someone with a valid visa.
You would think?
Like that allows them to work here.
Right.
So here's the deal. Okay.
Okay.
Basically, it comes down to this mislabeling of frog embryo samples that she was bringing back for research at Harvard.
Frog embryo sample.
At the request of her employer, Leon Peshkin.
Okay.
But the important thing is the samples were totally legal.
Oh, so it was just the labeling.
Just the labeling.
Interesting.
And usually for an error like that, the penalty would be like a small fine.
Really?
Maybe like a couple $100 up to like 500 max,
So that's like a huge difference.
It's a huge disconnect.
Yeah.
Like from a paperwork issue to ending up in immigration detention.
Wow.
And because of that, she had to seek asylum.
So why would she have to do that?
Like, why was that her only choice?
Yeah.
Well, this is where her background comes in, and it gets, more serious.
Okay.
Okay, so Petrova has been very outspoken against the war in Ukraine.
Okay.
She protested Russia's invasion, even called for Putin to be impeached.
Wow.
She was actually arrested in Russia for those actions.
Oh, wow.
And she had to flee to Georgia before eventually coming to the U.S.
Wow.
So being deported back to Russia for her was like a huge risk, like a real threat of political persecution, possibly even imprisonment.
Yeah.
So it's not just a customs issue, Definitely not.
It's like her personal safety.
Yeah, it's about seeking protection. Yeah.
Exactly. She needs international protection.
Right.
So what have we learned about her experience while being detained?
Yeah. What's it been like for her?
It sounds awful.
I bet.
She was first in Vermont, then moved to Louisiana.
Oh, wow.
Held in an ICE detention center.
Oh, God.
With tons of other women.
And what were the conditions like there?
From what I read, it's, not great.
Yeah.
Like, at first, she couldn't even contact anyone.
Wow.
And even now that she has legal representation, there's still no clear timeline for when she might be released.
No, that's got to be so stressful.
It's the uncertainty that's got to be the worst,
Definitely.
Like not knowing what's coming next.
Right.
It's also important to remember we're talking about someone who is considered an exceptional scientist.
Yeah,
She wasn't just like overstaying a tourist visa or something.
Right.
She had a legitimate work permit.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So it makes you think, like, what are we potentially losing here?
Absolutely.
Like, what could the scientific community miss out on?
Yeah.
Because of this whole thing,
Yeah, definitely.
And what's even more concerning is that Petrova's case doesn't seem to be unique.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there are reports that show that scrutiny and detentions of researchers and students are going up.
Oh, wow.
And even green card holders aren't immune.
Like they're being detained.
Yeah, even them. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Like we see all these different cases. A French scientist got detained.
Really?
A German tourist, too.
Wow.
And just recently, a Turkish PhD student, a Palestinian activist, even an Indian postdoctoral fellow.
Wow.
Like, they were all detained.
Wow, so it's not just limited to one group or anything.
Not at all.
Yeah.
And the common thread seems to be that a lot of these detentions are for non-criminal reasons.
So it's like administrative stuff.
Yeah, stuff like that.
So it seems like there's this bigger pattern that we need to be aware of.
Absolutely.
So the sources mentioned parole as a possibility for Petrova while she's waiting for her asylum hearing. What's going on with that?
Well, she seems to meet the requirements for parole.
Yeah.
But it seems like these approvals are being stalled or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's not good.
Which leaves her, you know,
in limbo.
Totally in limbo.
Yeah.
And the financial burden of all this is huge.
Yeah, of course.
She can't work, so she can't earn any income.
Right.
And it's dragging on, so people set up a GoFundMe page to help support her.
Yeah, it's good that there's some support out there.
Yeah, definitely.
So, like, what's the takeaway here?
What does all this mean, you know, like, for us?
Yeah.
I think it shows how a little administrative error can turn into this huge crisis for someone.
Yeah.
And it really highlights how unpredictable immigration processes can be.
Right.
And the human cost when they don't work the way they're supposed to.
It makes you wonder about the balance between national security and losing people who could contribute so much to our society.
Oh, yeah.
Like, because of these administrative roadblocks.
Right.
It's something to think about.
It really is.
And it makes you question the assumptions we have about who belongs and who doesn't.
Yeah.
And, like, what are the consequences of those assumptions?
Yeah, what does that mean for people like Kseniia?
Right.
What does that mean for science?
Exactly. It's a lot to consider.
It really is.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
We'll see you next time.
See you later.